benchmark. And you should know that the benchmark for 2012 will not be the same as the benchmark for 2013-2020 period. It will be different. So the free emissions or the free allowances you will get in 2012 might not be the same as what you will get in the future phases. Then auctioning. So what does it mean auctioning? Well, I've put you a few examples below. So for example, on 18th of May 2011, which is a large box that you can see here, Bluenext decided to auction 200,000 certified emission reductions for the World Bank. So basically, if you are interested in getting some of these CER, you should send an email to Bluenext, and then they will inform you about the steps to proceed. And you can see that, of course, for most of those auctions, the CER and ERU, they are, of course, verified, and you have some kind of insurance that the project will be dealt with. Another example below is, so this is a screenshot from the European Union website, just listing future options to come. And so you can see, for example, that in Germany, so the EEX market, that decided to auction every Tuesday 3,000 spots allowances. So every Tuesday you can participate in the auction, and every Wednesday you have auctions on future allowances too. But you can see that the UK chose a different approach, and they don't have weekly auctions, but they have a monthly auction. And in particular for September, October and November this year, they plan to auction every month 3.5 million of EU carbon allowances. So if you open a trading account, you can already start auctioning by the end of this year. Some more facts about auctioning. So it was representing a fairly small amount in phase 2, and here I'm in phase 2 of the main ETS, so from 2008 to 2012. Representing 9% of Germany allowances, and 7% of UK and 4% of Netherlands. Those were among the 6 countries which tested auction platform. And the numbers are from European Union. And for the phase 3, auctioning will be even more important because it will cover 50% of the EUA, while it was only 4% of EUA in phase 2. So auctioning will be a significant way to get allowances in the future. And you should remember that you're not alone in the market. There are 11,000 installations down there from various industries which have to comply with ETS. And there are also new entrants that will come in 2013. So you really want to be careful in what you're doing with ETS, and because if you have more actors on the market and if the cap is reduced, then it's quite likely that the price of EUA will increase. And in that case, the sooner you buy and the better it is. So that's it about the purchase of allowances. So of course, this is a very fast overview, but if you want more dedicated and tailored training, it's of course possible to have them. And the next section is dedicated to the risks associated to ETS. And to understand the risk, you have to understand that the allowances will be in the balance sheets of the company. So carbon accounting will become something that is important as for everything that has some impact on the balance sheets of the company. So the allowances, either free or auction one, they will be in the category intangible asset of your company, except in the case of selling allowances, because if you sell some, then you will have to have an inventory account. The value will be basically it will be your decision. You can choose for free allowances to consider them with their fair value when you receive them, in which case they will be subject to impairment, and you can choose to just consider the acquisition cost, and of course acquisition of free is zero. In that case, allowances will appear while free ones will not impact your balance sheet. But in any case, the option on purchase allowances, they will have to be considered at their acquisition cost. And on the future years, you have, of course, to consider the fair value of these allowances. And because carbon accounting will become more and more important, this is why you need to have to consider the ETS in your risk management strategy at the company level. And it could be wise to put either cost control or finance department in charge of at least the financial implication of the ETS. And this is a choice that was made by some airlines. And so this is summarizing the process you should follow to consider the ETS risk. So first of all, you have to evaluate what is your exposure. So if you need to buy 2 million allowances, and that the price is increasing by 10 euros, so it means that you have a 20 million euro potential impact on your results. So of course, it's important to tackle it in the best way you can. And to do that, you need to know the context. So you need to know the national legislation of your member state, and you also need to know the company and what will be planned for the future. Basically, try to define a broad picture of the ETS and its impact. And then this will allow you to decide on which strategy to follow. And this can be done by modeling various scenarios, and then depending on the scenario that you think is the most likely, you will decide on which actions you should plan. And then of course you realize those actions, and you check that those actions had the impact that was planned. And of course, this whole process, there are many consulting companies out there which can help you in complying with it. So some specificities of the aviation business is that because fuel is the biggest operating cost for airlines, and they cannot avoid buying fuel. Okay, there is biofuel discussion, but it's for the near future. It's not really so likely to happen. So there will be an inherent business risk, and exposure cannot be neutralized, because for banks, they can try to neutralize their risk buying other products, but for airlines, they cannot do it. So the strategy you choose, it must limit at best the market price risk. And then there is no one solution which will fit every situation. So the best option will depend on every operator, because it will depend on the member state to whom this operator will report. It will depend on the volume of allowances that the operator will require, and it will of course depend on the complexity of the organization. So if you have an airline with various business units for South America, and for Asia, and for US, and for Europe, you need to decide whether you want to have a centralized carbon management system, or whether you want every business unit to do its own business on its side. So the best solution is really unique to a company, and I'll be more than happy to help you in optimizing your compliance effort according to the criteria that you estimate are the most important for you. And just to illustrate, go a bit further on that, it's important to understand that the financial risk is also asymmetric and depends on every member state, because some member states, they plan for very stringent transposition. So, for example, in UK, they have a wide range of measures which go from just simple fines per ton of CO2 to grounding of the aircraft in case there is a systematic refusal to comply with EU ETS. On the opposite, some other countries that still have not transposed the ETS directive into national law. So in which case, if you don't comply, you don't risk anything because there is no law. But then the day the law comes into force, maybe you'll be in trouble because you'll have to, step back and try to comply in a more time-limited way, which will be, of course, more difficult. And just to illustrate that in the case of Germany, so in Germany, the air operators, they must open an operator account on the EEX spot market, and they can open a trading account, but they have the choice. It's not obligatory. But if you open a trading account, if you report to Germany, you can start bidding and getting allowances from now on. Trading accounts are already operational, so you can really take a step in advance if you are interested in that. And just a bit risk, I call it risk analysis, but it's really more kind of risk categories which you have to consider. So you have what I call MRV risk, so monitoring, reporting, verification risk, because every mistake in your reports can be subject to a fine of 100 euros per ton. And if European Union spots a mistake, they can go back 10 years to fix what was problematic. And so it means if you add up the problems, then at the end of the day, the amount to pay can be huge. So important to consider monitoring and reporting in a serious way. Then you have managerial risk, so that is the person in charge of ETS in your company leaves, and so you lose all the knowledge that was gained by that person. Another risk of this category would be the loss of the password and username access to the registry or to the spot market because you didn't plan for a backup in that case. And so if the person leaves and takes the password and username, then you'll be in trouble to ask for new ones, and you have to go through administrative burdens again. Then you have two types of financial risks. One is directly linked to the price of allowances, and the other is financial in the way that you have specific sanctions that can be applied by every member state, and you can have fines which are higher than the 100 euros plan. So you have to consider all those aspects in your ETS risk management policy. And of course, it's just a small sample of all the risks that you would have to consider. So just to give you an idea about the order of magnitude that we are speaking about, there was hacking of the registry account, especially from Czech Republic, and there were 2 million euros worth of EU allowances which were stolen from this registry. And overall, the price of the fraud, well, the amount of the fraud was around 40 million euros. So it's really significant, and this explains why there is so much interest on the security aspect of the registry these days. So the figure which you have in front of you is just to illustrate the volatility of carbon prices. In green you have the allowances price, and in yellow you have the CER price. And you can see that historically the price varies from 30 euros to around 12 euros just before this webinar.